So, hello, Miss Hoa. I'm Kim Thanh, and today we're presenting on section 4, which is about chapter 7 and chapter 8. So, first, about chapter 7, sensory principle for taste. This chapter will help us understand how taste can be used in branding, product design, and customer experience to create a lasting impression for customer. So, first one, the dual sense of taste. So, starting off, I want to introduce why taste matter. So, taste is not just about eating; it is a multisensory experience that impacts how we feel, what we remember, and how we make decisions from the taste of a dish like a food, a drink, to the tastefulness of a local or even store design can also be applied within the taste. So, brand can use taste to trigger emotion and says consumer preference, especially in industry where pleasure and experience matter. Like when customers visit a cafe, they do not only evaluate the taste of the coffee, they also notice the smell of the coffee, the design of the cup, and the atmosphere of the cafe. And so all of these elements together, they like influence their overall experience. So this chapter will discuss two types of taste: gastronomic and aesthetic taste. So, gastronomic taste refer to the appreciation of flavor and sensation experience through the sense of taste, while aesthetic taste encompass the broader appreciation and experience of beauty or artistic quality, including those found in food presentation, in even the dining environment beside the food. So, gastronomic taste is straightforward. The physical and emotional experience of consuming a food or drink, like enjoying a delicious bowl of pho, but the aesthetic taste of, on the other hand, is more abstract. It's come from cultural exposure, original preference, and it's referred to our judgment of what is tasteful or beautiful. And it's deeply shaped by culture, class, and trend. For example, like the minimal or sleek packaging design, we cannot taste it by our tongue, and so then design that or how we look at the packaging is aesthetic taste. So in marketing, these two types of taste they interact with each other. A product must taste good, but if it also look good and feel premium, elegant, or align with the brand identity, it's more likely to succeed rather than just gastronomic taste. So brands that succeed in generating marketing are those that can blend these two aspects together. So think of Nespresso, the brand for like coffee machine where the coffee tastes great. The gastronomic and the bar, the store and the machine that look luxurious. That is the aesthetic taste. So coming to the characteristic of taste, for the first aspect is physiological. So like psychological taste come from taste bud on our tongue and throat. This like in the picture here, there is the zoom out in the image of taste bud on our tongue. It is very small and it is jar of our taste perception. They can detect five basic flavors like bitter, salty, sour, sweet, and umami. Our taste buds are constantly replaced, so taste perception can evolve over our whole lifetime. Like children often prefer sweeter food such as candy or chocolate, while adults gradually develop preference for more complex flavor such as coffee or dark chocolate. And importantly, taste not isolated. It's deeply connected with our other sense. For example, up to around 80% of what we perceive as taste of coffee actually come from the smell of coffee, and the rest is the rest of our tongue. Drop to stated. Synesthesia explain how seeing a certain color might trigger an associated taste or smell. And next is the psychological aspect. So taste had a strong psychological effect, emotional in sense. It would affect our mood or well-being, evoke nostalgia, or create a comfort. So our decision about food are often based on past experience, like memories. Think of your favorite food, favorite dish when you try it, when you haven't tasted your childhood dish for a long time, and then when you try it again, it brings back very realistic memories. So in phonic experience, the big experience, like the big moment, the most instant pleasure, save memory more than how long the experience lasted. And imagine visiting a restaurant where the first bite of steak tastes amazing. Even if the service later take a long time, customers still remember how delicious the steak was. So this explains why restaurants often focus on creating memorable signature dishes. It would explain why restaurants focus on more memorable or like signature dishes or the last part of tasting menu. So about the taste and culture, they also have a lot of association with each other. So taste perception isn't just biology; it's also cultural. Um, it's an identity marker to social class and cultural capital. Our tastes reflect our identity and social status. So our perception come from both heredity, like our gene, what we inherit from our parent, from our ancestor. So it is our cellular composition, our gene, or our taste bud and environment also. At the food we grow up eating, some tastes are universal, others are acquired through culture. For example, coffee, bitter green, or spicy food. And at a group level, meals are served as bonding ritual from family dinner to national holiday shaped by stable and tradition that design the cuisine. And for example, you can think of this like Vietnamese people and French people and also like Chinese people. They have very different tastes and different preference for food. Like for Vietnamese, we like food with rice, fish sauce, and fresh herb. But on the other hand, the French guy, they like the taste of bread more than the rice. They like cheese and they like one too. So for Chinese, it might be rice, the soy sauce, the stir fry, more like on the olive side. So this like further emphasize that taste is inherently influenced by culture and in taste symbolism. Gastronomic taste is grounded in our biology setting, but aesthetic taste is more culture and society. So I mentioned about the earlier side. So for the astronomic would be more on such like physiological side and sex would be related to culture. So the different social economic group like what our background are often have very distinct preference, not just in food but in the presentation and the style on the aesthetic side. And sometimes the choice reinforce existing norm, other time they challenge them. So think of a bold food trend or a provocative restaurant concept. It would strive from kind of curiosity and like reinforce the consumption choice. That's the challenge. So we're moving to the service environment. Taste stimuli is is really important. Like marketer can use both gastronomic and aesthetic taste stimuli to influence the customer experience. Gastronomic stimuli refer to the actual tasting experience, such as food or beverage sampling. When customers are able to taste product directly, it often increase their interest and purchasing intention. And aesthetic stimuli, on the other hand, relate to the design and atmosphere of the space. Elements such as interior design, lighting, flooring, ceiling decoration, and even table arrangement that help shape the overall taste or style of the environment. For example, a coffee shop with warm lighting, comfortable furniture, and aesthetic pleasant drink can make customers feel more relaxed and enjoy the experience more. For the tasting sample, like it's also the important element in the service environment. Like people often take tasting opportunity when sample products are displayed in store or service testing or maybe in some time it will be available. And interestingly, tasting does not only involve the tongue but also other sense, including the touch. For example, in a bakery, customer may taste a small piece of bread while also touching the crust to feel its crispiness. This multisensory interaction helps customers evaluate the product quality, and research also show that different customers may be respond differently to tasting sample. And for instance, obese shopper tend to purchase more product after tasting sample, while non-obese shopper often feel satisfied after tasting and may not make additional purchase. Overall, the tasting experience includes both affective components such as pleasure and satisfaction and informative components such as sweetness, texture, or product quality. Because of this, tasting sample can enhance the positive emotion and influence customer purchasing decision. And finally, we have the tasting aesthetic. Aesthetic refer on like how something look and feel in terms of a brand, a place, an object, or a service environment. Although aesthetic taste is subjective, there are still some universal principles of beauty that many people tend to appreciate. In the fine dining sector, tasting aesthetic are like really important. Factors such as like ingredient quality, culinary skill, restaurant ambience, and service quality all influence customer perception and satisfaction. The overall experience of tasting aesthetic is created through multisensory integration, including the sight, smell, sound, taste, and touch. For example, a fine dining restaurant, the way a dish is plated, the light of the room, the background music, and even the texture of the tableware can all contribute to a more memorable dining experience. And the last section is brand and product. Taste also plays a very important role like stay stimuli first. Company use stay stimuli to build product identity. Taste stimuli includes gastronomic elements such as a raw material, flavor, spicy, nutrient, and overall product quality. At the same time, aesthetic factors such as color, structure, composition, and food design also contribute to how consumers perceive the product. And together, these elements form the identity of a food brand or product. However, product quality is not determined by taste perception. It's also influenced by external brand factors such as the brand name, the packaging, and the labeling. For example, in blind taste tests, people sometimes cannot clearly distinguish between premium bottled water and regular water. But once they see the brand label like Evian, um, Levy, they often rate the product as tasting better. This shows that branding cue can strongly influence the taste perception. In addition, emotion also plays a significant role. When consumers already have a positive emotion attitude toward a brand, they tend to have stronger emotion reaction and perceive the product quality as higher. Taste good, like um, like those products have the quality cannot be measured objectively before purchase. Instead, they depending heavily on subjective aesthetic taste. Because of this, the product often create emotional or sensory experience even before the purchase happen. The experience with taste good is usually visual. Consumer often like react emotionally to the appearance of the product based on their personal taste. For example, a luxury brand a luxury fashion product or gourmet food are often judged by basing on the design, the presentation, and the brand image rather than purely functional quality. And food manufacturers also need to ensure distinct and recognizable flavor, as well as consistent taste across different production batches. This is important for maintaining product quality and customer trust. In addition, external cue can influence the taste perception. For example, color can affect how consumers perceive the flavor. And studies show that many people may perceive the bright orange, such as just like sweeter and having a stronger flavor, even if the actual taste is the same. On the other hand, the label design itself does not significantly change the actual taste, but it still shapes the expectation before consumption. Another interesting factor is haptic perception. The texture of food can influence how consumers estimate calories contained. For example, softer or smoother food can often perceive as have higher calorie, which may influence how much people consume. And taste, for the last part, taste symbolism refer to the process in which tasting product, either gastronomic or aesthetic, create feeling of joy and pleasure, and also form memorable experience with the food brand. Taste evaluation is highly subjective. It is influenced by individual taste receptor, personal knowledge, belief, and cultural value. branding element can also trigger memory and influence taste perception. This is known as the assimilation effect, where consumers unconsciously rely on symbolic meaning associated with certain food. For example, vegetables are often associated with simplicity and health, while red meat may symbolize authority and power. Because of this, brands often develop what is called a taste signature, which refers to how a brand consistently associates a specific taste experience with its identity. And a clear example of this is Starbucks. Starbucks has built strong taste signature by offering consistent coffee flavor provided worldwide. At the same time, the company also introduced limited edition drink tailored to local market. Like in Japan, they introduced the Sakura Blossom Latte, and while in other regions, they adapt drink to local taste. Like in store, Starbucks also offers seasonal beverage sample and create a strong coffee aroma in the environment. These elements combine gastronomic and aesthetic taste that reinforce the Starbucks brand identity and strengthening the emotional connection with customers around the world. Now we come to the last chapter about sensory marketing, which is chapter 8, multisensory principle. So in this chapter, it will just be like a combination of all chapter, both but sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste, forming an overall a picture view of how all the senses work together in collaboration with each other to create an overall multisensory experience for the customer. So the first one, let's dive into the first section, which is human sense in collaboration. So human sense in collaboration, which means so actually the human sense work in both external and internal. About the external, this means like the five senses connect us to the world. We use our sense to experience everything around us right now. They tell what we think and how the thing look like, what sound like, feel like, smell like, and taste like. For example, when you see a red apple, you see it by the sight. You feel smooth skin by touch, hear the crunch when you bite by the sound. And so, therefore, your sense of gathering information from the apple at this moment together make you perceive what outside world look like. And secondly, the internal use is like using the sense in our mind to fantasize, which means we also use them in our mind to remember, imagine, plan, or think. So we can see the picture, we can hear the sound, feel the texture, or even tasting just by thinking about them in our mind. So often sight and touch are easier to use this way internally. And also, the perceptual system will be the one who process everything. So this system is the brand processing center for all of our sensory information. It constantly take the raw data of our sense. It then figure out what the sense mean then. It will organize them and then therefore decide what we will pay attention to. And lastly, about synesthesia, what were mentioned many times across our sensory marketing to say that okay, sense cast event with brother. So some for some people, stimulating one sense can automatically trigger and experience another sense. And this explains how a person can actually listening to sound might also see the color and some can taste the word. For example, a person hear a piano note and instantly see a flash of blue in the mind, or someone read the word Monday and tastes like mint. So that's how synesthesia work in this case. So all of the combination of sensory input we get from brand product or place will directly influence how we judge it and whether we decide to buy it, I like it. And marketer therefore take use of it and try to create appealing multisensory experience. So, moving to our second part, we talk about multisensory phenomenon. So, what is multisensory perception? It's referred to how the brand combine information from two or more senses at the same time to create a unified experience of something. However, people do not rely on all senses equally. Each person tends to favor certain senses depending on their personal preference and bad experience. In the brand, there are special areas called convergence zone where signals from different senses meet and interact. This explains why stimulation from one sense can influence how we perceive another sense. In product evaluation, vision and touch are often the dominant sense, especially for physical products such as clothing or furniture. Vision helps consumers evaluate the size, shape, and color, while touch provides more detailed information about the texture, the weight, and material quality. Another important concept is the synergistic effect, which means that engaging multiple senses at the same time strengthen memory and create more positive attitude toward a product or brand. And therefore, companies should design the environment and product that stimulate multiple senses simultaneously in order to create a more memorable customer experience. Also, we talk about the optimal stimulation theory. So actually, too much sense is not very good because people will seek just right level of sensory input. So too little stimuli will feel boring, make us seek excitement, but too much feel overwhelming and make us shut down or want to leave. So for example, at a cafe, if it's too quiet, there is no background music, customer may leave because they feel it boring. And if the music is classic, like thing like club, or it's too loud, they might leave because it's annoying them, so they cannot work, they cannot learn. So however, a moderate background buzz will keep them comfortable and help them stay longer and therefore buying more. Okay, in the third part, we'll talk about service environment as a multisensory interaction. This particularly we explore how the stimuli in the service environment interact with each other. The first, we need to know about the atmosphere stimuli in the retail atmosphere to be namely. So every shop, restaurant, or mall is more than word itself. Actually, it's made up of size like lighting, color, decor. It make up sound like music, ambient noise, smell like fragrance, cooking aromas, sectioners like fabric and furniture, surface, and even taste like sample of the cafe offering. So rather than just noticing each scent one by one, the customer brand will place them into a single atmosphere of the service environment, which making the experience stronger than any single cue long. So this element will act as a stimuli that shape how we think about the place, how you feel while you're there, and intimating what you will do in that service environment, like longer or buy more or recommend to friends. So brand and stars should take these things very serious into their service environment about applying multiple sensory interaction. And we talk about a concurrent auditory and olfactory cue. So we need to know what concurrent cue means, like when the music, which is the auditory sense, and the scent, which is the olfactory sense, match in theme or mood. For example, Christmas music together with a Christmas scent. In that case, they are congruent. But when they don't match with each other, like summer music with the Christmas scent, they become incongruent. Congruent make the environment feel right and comfortable, and it actually influences customer shopping behavior. When the scents match, they amplify positive feeling and improve attitude toward the store or product. As a result, shoppers tend to stay longer, explore more, and spend more money, and this also strengthens their intention to revisit the store. On the other hand, incongruent queue can reduce satisfaction and lower store rating or revisit intention. Now, we talk about retail strategy. You can say that sometimes less visual but more multisensory stimulation work better for a retail store. For example, in a visually dominant store like IKEA, adding more visual effect like lighting design may not help much because there are already many visual stimuli in the space. But by adding the sound and scent, it can deepen emotional connection with their overwhelming subbar with too many visual cues. So the key idea here is sensory harmony. When music, sound, and visual are combined in a harmonious way, they create a more complete and emotional rich experience for the customer. And lastly, we talk about seeing, smelling, and touching in interaction specifically. So actually, the atmosphere is very matter for engagement. A functional stereo environment like bright light playing stable makes up a rush, and on the other hand, adding a warm light section matte and vanilla scent will increase the drilling time by 41%. So therefore, they can say that cozy visual and pleasing smell will trigger emotional engagement rather than just a bland simple functional environment. And secondly, touch will lead to a higher purchase likelihood, like we have discussed in the chapter 6. So sharpen touch glass from 50% longer in enhance the atmosphere, and longer touch time will directly collaborate with the purchase, especially for the premium product. So we can say that tactile imperfection will build the product connection in customer. So the key insight that we can So here's the sensory synergies is much better than just a single symbol light. So while we can't isolate for the lighting method or send long grow result, the combination actually have a better effect on creating the emotional computing experience that will have many significant effects but slow shut down, encourage tactile exploration, and lastly boosting the sale of the store. So the fourth part, brand and product. We know that multisensory perception in brand product. Every brand actually communicates through multiple senses. For example, sight like design or color, sound like jingle or packaging noise, smell like a signature scent, touch like a packaging texture, and taste like the flavor. Together, these elements create a complete brand personality, and packaging itself also communicate the experience. For many products, especially things like food or skincare, customer cannot smell, taste, or touch them before buying. So packaging become the main source of sensory hint for the consumer. The look, feel, color, shape, and even small detail like the crinkling sound of snack bar package help communicate what the product experience will be and create emotional association. For example, a crispy sounding chip bag may make you expect crunchy and fresh chip, and the cold pop sound of a wine bottle can create a feeling of celebration and even make the wine seems to taste better in your perception. Color also played an important role in sending emotional message. For instance, blue is associated with just, which is why technology uh, company like IBM use it. Green is linked to nature and freshness, so it's common for organic food product like whole world market. And black is often used to signal luxury, which is why premium brand like Chanel use it frequently. And another important point is that touch is often more powerful than just looking. When people can only look at a product, their feeling about it are usually weaker compared to when they can actually touch it. Touch gives more useful information about texture and quality, and it helps build trust and positive feeling toward the brand. Allowing customers to pull, see, and touch a product can increase their confidence and push the likelihood of purchase. So, talking about the product evaluation, we actually chart product using one our multiple sense is not just one sense because we evaluate a brand a product. We rely on just more than what will it look how it look. We also use touch and sometimes smell, taste, or sound to actually decide what that if the quality of product is good enough, and also within that seeing and touching is the strongest combo that help to evaluate the product. So for most people, the combo of looking and touching give the most accurate and also the satisfying product evaluation. And also what you see will affect what you expect to feel too. Because touching is more effective when it's combined with visual support what you feel and help you make a better decision. Also, the mismatch sense will actually push engagement because when sight and touch disagree with each other like a rock texture, phone taste that feel light and soft, people will actually expect and inspect the product longer. They will develop a greater interest in product and remember the product better. So, for example, a candle look like a cold marble, reasonable but feel warm and weighty. When touching actually make customer turn it over, snip, and consider buying it for its uniqueness. So, like example, you smell three similar perfume. The one which possibly feel the best for you because it's new to your sense. Sensory slowdown, on the other hand, is contracted because if the sample are very different from each other, for example, mint chocolate, spicy chocolate, or fruity chocolate, the last one will often feel the best. So we come into non-congruent stimuli. Sometimes the way something look doesn't match how sound, smell, or feel, and this mismatch actually called non-congruent. And on the other hand, it's not very bad thing that happen in brand and product, but this thing can actually trigger curiosity and it can trigger discomfort in customer. So it's a two side of a knife. For example, a bean swab can smell garlic. So the look suggests the sweetness of swab, but the smell is unexpected. So it's will, but the smell is actually garlic. It will create a discomfort on customer. But however, on the other hand, a ceramic dumbbell look heavy but actually feel very light will cause unexpected in customer, and therefore they're curious in inspect it longer, and maybe increase the chance that they will buy it out of uniqueness and curiosity. So many is that, and coming to the multisensory brand experience. So physical service environment refer to how individuals react with cognition, emotion, as well as behavior when a company interact with and support their purchase and consumption process by involving five senses: vision, hearing, smell, touch, and taste, which therefore support the individual identity creation. So there are three aspects of multisensory brand experience that should be discussed, which are physical service environment, online service environment, and brand product. So first about the service environment, physical, like affect our sense and feeling very much, because when visiting a store, restaurant, sport center, or spa, the atmosphere, like design, sound, music, actually impact how you feel and act, and therefore it directly affect the customer multisensory brand. So, sensory landscape linked to the visual appeal of a service environment. Soundscape refer to what you hear. Soundscape refer to what you smell. Geographic of touch refer to what you feel, and tastescape refer to what you taste. So now, online service environment. Like I have said, that it limits the multisensory experience to only vision and hearing. So, but there are also solutions to address it for brand and company by applying sensory-enabled technology. SETs is new tech tool that can help bringing back the missing sense like touch, smell, taste in online shopping using AR, VR, haptic device. But like I have said many times before, it cannot completely replace or compare against the real experience of the customer in store directly. However, also sound and touch VA device will actually enhance the product experience. So audio from speaker and headphone and technical feedback like touch inspiration will make the online interaction feel more real and emotional. That's how they can address the lack of multisensory experience online by using just what they can do about ourselves and touch via technology device. For the brand and product, the last part, engaging multiple sense in for stronger and brand impact is now a strategy that brand and company should bring into consideration, because a successful brand use actually more than just one visual element like logo or color. It should include both smell, touch, and taste to connect better with customer emotionally and mentally. Also, the product sound influence how we feel about the brand. So sound make a product like opening a bottle can shape what we believe about the product quality and freshness. So therefore, it's break into two things, which is functional and signature sound. So functional style will help you use the product, while signature sound can make the brand memorable and unique. So it's also the end of chapter 8 and also the end of sensory marketing course. Thank you for listening.